Well, here we are on the stage at Memorial Hall talking to the very lovely Jessica Walter. Jessica, we've just seen you very recently in Grand Prix. Oh, that was marvelous.
Oh, thank you. It was fun to do.
Yes, if you haven't seen Grand Prix, didn't you enjoy doing that movie?
I did very much. We had a great trip out of it, 5 months in Europe all over.
Now, were you an auto racing fan before this time?
No, I never even knew what the Grand Prix was.
Oh, really?
It means great prize in French. I didn't even know that. But we became addicted to motor racing. We really did.
We have a good friend that's the chief steward over at Indianapolis. You've never been to Indianapolis?
No, that I haven't.
Well, perhaps now that you'd be interested,
Oh, I'd love
though.
to, yeah. Yeah, it's very exciting.
But, Jessica, your story is more or less a Cinderella story, really. Your father, of course, is in the entertainment business.
Yes, and he's a musician.
Musician. But you started in TV soap operas, didn't you?
Yes, well, I actually started in theater. I did many seasons of stock and off-Broadway and Broadway, 4 shows on Broadway. And in the meantime, I was doing Love of Life during the day.
Yes, for 3 years,
the rent, yes, 3 years on and
yes.
off. They were very good to me. They wrote me out when I had to go out of town with a show. And I really miss that show. I really do.
And then you, of course, were in a lot of the major dramatic series.
Uh-huh. I was on a series. I had my own series called For the People with William Shatner. It was a big disaster. It was put on opposite Bonanza, so we didn't really have a chance. But I think everything works out for the best.
And then you worked with George Maharis, didn't you, in Route 66?
I must say, unfortunately, when I did Route 66, it was after George had left.
Oh.
Glenn Corbett was on. It was towards the end.
Now, Jessica, how are you enjoying your role in Barefoot in the Park?
I love it. It's a great play, and everybody's so nice in the cast. George is a dream, and Virginia is the most fantastic. She's really like she is on TV, you know?
Yes, oh, she's darling.
So it's been great fun. It really has.
Now, where do you go from here?
Well, after this show is over. This is our last engagement. But I'm going to do Gypsy in St. Louis at the Municipal Opera.
Oh, now what about your hubby now? Is he in New York?
No, he's right here somewhere.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I know it's a show business family.
Yeah, it is. He's going to direct in Kansas City in the Starlight Theater. They have 8,000 seats. He's doing On a Clear Day with Shirley and Jones and Bill Hayes after they come here. He takes them. And he's doing Molly Brown, Funny Girl. He has Anna Maria Alberghetti and Fanny. So we're all kind of doing the stock circuit, and we love it.
Now, your home base is New York City.
Right. Born and raised. My husband's from San Francisco, but he likes New York better.
Really?
I've never heard anybody say that except him.
No, well, it's you, Jessica.
Well, I hope so.
Now, Jessica, you give people a lot of pleasure by your endeavors. Now, what do you do for leisure time?
Well, for instance, yesterday we were at the pool. We just swam around the pool and read scripts. Really, our leisure time is involved a lot with our work. There's a lot of preparation.
Yes.
That we have to do. But at home, we've just decorated our apartment. It's gorgeous. And we go to movies. We go to great restaurants and always hit lousy movies. I don't know how that turns out.
But you stay so slim. What do you do when you go to all these restaurants? Any tips?
I'll tell you the truth. I think I'm just nervous. So I never gain weight. It's the funniest thing.
You can eat whatever you want to eat.
Yeah, I think, though, if I try to stay away from candy bars and very sweet things, because I think it's very bad for the skin. I don't wear any makeup. I don't know if you noticed.
Well, you look lovely.
Except on the screen. Then I wear a lot.
And then you have to.
You do.
Jessica, would you have any advice for any aspiring young actresses that might be watching?
Well, I think that if they really want to do it, they should do it. They should just forge ahead. And so at least if they don't get there or whatever, they can turn around when they're 35, 40 and say that they really tried. So there'll never be any regrets.
Well, you've worked awfully hard, and you're one of the most sought-after actresses today. It was a privilege talking to you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you.
And if you haven't seen Grand Prix, please go and see that, and come down this week and see Jessica Walter in Barefoot in the Park. Thanks once again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Here we are on stage at Memorial Hall, visiting with a very handsome George Maharis, starring in Barefoot in the Park. Well, George, you're opening tonight. Do you have, the jitters or anything like that? No.
Nah, I like it.
I know you do. You just love it, don't you?
Yeah, I wait for that moment.
But, George, now tell us, you really started out as a singer, didn't you?
Yeah, originally, right. And then I went to acting, and then back to singing, and now both.
Then you were in the Marines in between.
Well, that was before. That was before I even thought about that. That was before I got out of high school, actually. I joined the Marine Corps, like all young cats do, And then I came out. And I had a lot of jobs, and I didn't like any of them, and I used to argue with myself, and I used to say, why can't he keep a job? And he'd say, well, you're just not doing the kind of work you want to do. And I'd say, no, it's because you're a bum. And I'd say, no, I'm not a bum. And he'd say, well, what do you want to do? I said, I want to sing. He said, go out and sing. I said, but you don't know how. I said, go out and learn. So that's what I did. And then I was getting along pretty well, and I met these people that wanted to put me in a musical, and they heard my voice and they liked it, but they thought I should have a wider range, and they thought I should have more of a legitimate production, so they sent me to a teacher who shall remain nameless, and he insisted I was a dramatic tenor instead of a lyric baritone, which I am. And in the process of, I'd say about 8 or 10 weeks, he ruptured my vocal cords, and that was the end of my singing career.
Oh, really, George?
And that's how I got into acting. I went to audition for a small summer theater in and around New York, and I was just after being shut up for about 12 weeks, and I really couldn't sing. And I got up on the stage and auditioned. It was terrible. But the people were so, I don't know, it just wasn't a very good company or something, and they said, all those people we picked stand over here and the rest of you go home. So I stood over there.
That was it?
That was it. So then I was on stage, and some acting person came backstage, and he was a teacher, and he said, you're really an actor, not a singer. And I said, no. And then he said, well, listen, I have a woman that wants to do an audition for CBS. Would you accommodate her? And I said, well, all right. So I did. And I did the audition, and the people said, who's the boy, you know? And then they said, they called me over, and they said, do you want to act? And I said, I want to sing. And they said, well, if you want to act, we can give you some kind of walk-ons to keep you alive if you're interested in acting. And that's how I got into acting.
Well, now, how did Route 66, how did this take place?
Well, they saw me in an off-Broadway theater called Death Watch. And they came down and they saw me, and I did a Naked City, and then they said, he's interesting, and I did another Naked City to see if I could smile, because in the part I frowned through the whole thing. And then I did another Naked City, and then they said, we're going to take a shot. And then they looked for the other person who would be what they thought the boy next door kind of guy, the Van Johnson kind of part, and they originally, I think, wanted somebody like Tab Hunter, and they couldn't get him, and then they looked around, and they finally came up with Marty Milner, and that's the way it came off. And
how many years did it run?
Well, it actually ran, I was in it 2.5 years, and it actually ran about 3 years, I guess it was, because I caught hepatitis, and I went back to the show too quickly, and I had a relapse, and I had to leave the show, and then it folded shortly after that.
Were you called Buzz for a while after that?
No, surprisingly enough, most people wanted to know who Buzz was, and very few people called me Buzz. They all called me George, which I liked.
Which you liked?
Yeah.
Well, George, now you're a native New Yorker, aren't you? What do you do in your spare time in New York?
Spare time?
Yeah, do you have any?
What is that? Well, I like to paint, actually, is what I like to do. And I think when I get to be a certain age and decided I don't want to act anymore and sing anymore, and when I feel that I don't want to produce anymore, he's saying wrap it up. I will paint. I will talk fast now so we can wrap it up. But I'd like to paint because I think that's great.
George, we're so thrilled to have you here in Barefoot in the Park.
Yeah, me too.
We're going to see it tonight.
Oh, yeah?
So, yes,
well, I hope you enjoy
we'll be out
it,
there applauding. George Maharis.
We'll laugh
so
first
handsome.
and then applaud.
All right, listen. Everybody come down and see this young man, will you? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
George
Right.
Maharis.